Alright, this is my 1993 Nissan Skyline GTST with the R34 swap GTT motor. As you can see, I'm having issues with the RB26 valve cover touching the turbocharger hot side. So I don't know if you can see it clearly enough, but I have outlined where I am going to cut and indentate and re-weld in a new piece of aluminum so I can get a turbo blanket to clear the valve cover so I don't cook my valve cover gasket. I will show you what it takes to do that, so if you need to do it, I could have just changed the manifold, but this CX Racing T4 manifold was designed for an RB25 valve cover. So I'm trying to run RB26 valve covers because I like the way the breathers are in the back, and I like the look of the 26 versus the 25. So I am going to clearance that, show you how to do it, and then repaint both and reinstall. Alright, we got the valve cover off the car. I don't know if you can see clearly where I scribed it when it was on the car with a screwdriver, but I decided to go a little further so that gives me a little bit more room. And since I'm going to be cutting this out at an angle through here and through here, I've removed the inside baffle, which has these little screws right here, so make sure you don't lose them. They're real small. And this is what the inside baffle looks like, which I'm going to clean after I get done fabricating everything and redoing everything. Then this is the Nissan little metal mesh screen that goes in here, which I will make sure is clean as well before I put back together. I already went ahead and removed the valve cover seal so I don't cook it while welding on it or cutting or getting any metal shavings that will gall it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit this up in the drill press and cut it with this hole saw. It's probably not the ideal way to do it, but I think it'll be the best way to keep it cut it and get the edges I want symmetrical all the way around. So I'm going to set it up and get started. Now I'm going to do this process fairly slow, so I'm not going to rush. And if it starts to chatter and jump, I'm going to change my method of how I'm going to cut this. Obviously, that's not going to work the way I want to, so I'm going to have to clamp this down. Usually when I'm just drilling something, it doesn't move too much, but in this case, it's trying to hurt me. And I am nowhere near professional, so I'm just kind of guessing on what I'm doing here. It may or may not work. I might destroy the valve cover. We'll see. I have to go really slow with this so it doesn't jump and grab like that. But like I said, I'm not a professional, so this is clearly not working. So we're going to go to plan B, which will probably be something like an air body saw or a metal burring bit. But so we'll give that a try. Alright, take 2 on how not to hurt yourself and modify an RB valve cover. As you can see, I tried to do it, it started to jump around too much. I didn't feel like getting wrapped up in the drill press, This is going to take a lot longer, a little bit more noise, but if I was able to clamp this down without worrying about busting these ears off in the vise, I probably could have done this in the vise with the drill press. But since I'm worried about cracking the valve cover, I am going to use an air body saw. Hopefully it cuts it. If not, go to plan C. As you can see, I had some difficulties with trying to cut it with that, and of course I had some issues with this trying to make some of the turns, so I used a grinder. So you might have to use multiple tools to do this. I mean, the best way to probably do it is usually probably a die grinder, but it probably just makes more of a mess and more noise. I should be wearing hearing ear protection, but I'm not. I got glasses on, but I probably should be wearing safety glasses, but of course I'm not. And so I'm just going to try to snap this piece out. And when you're clearancing something, you always want to be sure where your cams are in relation to what you're cutting out so that you have no interference, which I already knew I could go clear to this line here because my cams, there's that flat shield I showed you earlier that diverts all your crankcase pressure through a certain area through that metal filter right here. So I'm not in the way of that, so I don't have to worry about that. So now I'm going to clean this up, square it up. I'm going to take a piece of scrap aluminum like this, which is a partial bend from some old intercooler piping, and I'm going to cut that with a bandsaw and then shape this up, square it up, cut this to fit in here, clean up all around here, clean everything with the wash tank or brake clean or whatever you have available to clean with, and then clean up all the paint within at least a 2-inch area and wire wheel all around here inside and out if you can, so you don't have any contamination or no oils, because that will mess with your TIG welding. So I am going to probably start by putting this in the bandsaw and cutting it off at a certain point, or see if I have a scrap piece laying around that I can use. Alright, you can see I cleaned up around it, put it in the parts cleaner, and used a little bit of brake clean. Hasn't quite dried all the way yet, but you can see around where I'm going to be welding is a lot cleaner versus everywhere else. I will clean everywhere else before I reinstall in the car to make sure there's no contaminants or metal shavings or anything of that kind. And well, I'm going to get started on making this little guy fit. Alright. Of course, you always have to have your candy and beverages close by. Right now, I'm going to just grind this edge just a little bit. So when this lays in here, it's not on a sharp edge. It'll be more flush like that. I don't know if you can see that. Hopefully you can. But I'm just going to take away a little material. Alright, so I marked these marks here, on which I'm going to cut a little extra out on it with the bandsaw. That's just a rough area where I want to cut. And I'm going to form this to fit that. And I got my desired height. Now I'm going to cut to my desired width over on the bandsaw again. And hopefully not cut myself. Once again, I'm using a pair of pliers to hold it because, you know, I don't want to cut my fingers off. This is what they use to cut meat. Bandsaws, well, not this particular style, but, you know, butcher shops in general. And if you don't have a bandsaw or access to a bandsaw, you can always use a hacksaw, which will take a lot longer, or a sawzall, or a grinder, or because it's thin enough aluminum, you could also use 10 snips or something along those lines. Now, you can see I have my marks, like I said, I cut, made it a little long, because it's harder to add it back in than versus taking it away. I'll tap it where I want. I'm getting a little bit of contamination, but I don't know if it's from oil seeped into the aluminum, powder coat, or what it is. Give me a little bit of difficulty, so I should have cleaned this a little better. So with aluminum, you always want to make sure that you have a clean surface. All right, you can see where I welded it up. I don't have the video of me finishing because my GoPro died, but as you can see now that I can put a turbo blanket on it, got plenty of clearance. Don't have to worry about heat soak into the valve cover once I get the blanket on it. I'm going to take these back off one more time and paint the valve covers, and I got a few other small things I need to do to this thing, so I will post some more pictures of stuff and videos of this here soon. But if you're running RB26 valve covers with the CX Racing manifold, and you want to run your T4 turbo with it, and this is what you got to do.